I walk through the rooms of the dead, streets of the dead, cities of the dead, men without eyes, men without voices, men with manufactured feelings and standard reactions, men with newspaper brains, television souls, and high school ideas. Seeing they see not, hearing they hear not, neither do they perceive nor do they understand. That's another way to say it. How can I be concerned with the murder of one man when almost all men, plus females, are taken from cribs as babies and almost immediately thrown into the masher? I see organic, soulless portals. They are everywhere. They walk around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see and hear what they want to see and hear. They are programmed and indoctrinated. They don't know they are dead. They don't know they are organic, soulless portals. Though we walk through the valley of the shadow of what? A trust is a three-party fiduciary relationship in which the first party, the truster or the settler, or better known as the grantor, transfers, settles a property. Remember, everything's about property, often but not necessarily a sum of money, upon the second party, which is the trustee, for the benefit of the third party, which is the beneficiary. A testamentary trust is created by will and arises after the death of the settler. Who would be the grantor? Yahuwah. Who would be the first trustee? Yahushua. Who's the beneficiary? Any who accepts the kingdom. We want to go through here and we'll say, at this point, a trust may be revocable or irrevocable. What does Yahushua say? Any who comes in here, you can't pluck them out of my hand. We'll read from John 10:28. And I give unto them eternal life, and they shall never perish, neither shall any man pluck them out of my hand. My Father, which gave them me, hold on, who gave them to him? And no man is able to pluck them out of my Father's hand. They're one and the same. The all is in all, but not all can be the all. An irrevocable trust can be broken, revoked only by judicial proceeding. At this point, the property transfer has concluded, entirely avoiding probate. So the only way it can avoid probate is through what? A testamentary trust, the death of the son. Probate, originally relating to proof, afterwards relating to the proof of wills, the act or process of proving a will, no administration of the will and trust. It is set up in what? Perpetuity. It's to all. What is the only law outside the beast system that is recognized as being a law? And what is it found in? The Bible. You can do mental dances, you can dance all around it, but this is facts. If you're not cloaked with the kingdom of heaven within, with the kingdom of God from above, and separating the two kingdoms, you're out of luck. And you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and you're what? You're practicing necromancy because you think you're dead. He gave you life. Did you ever wonder why they got the capstone up there above the base on the back of your dollar bill with the eye of Horus in it? Because they've created a trust. In God we trust. Who's their God? The beast. Grantor, settler, trustee establishes the principles and foundation. He's the total embodiment of the will of the Father. Everything that you're supposed to do comes out of the mouth of who? Yahushua. Testamentary trust is created by the last will and testament and avoids probate. It's set in stone. The contract, the covenant makes the law. Beneficiary can be anyone who accepts the duties and obligations of the contract covenant. So why can't you get any service in these courtrooms? Y'all know the difference between a court of record and a non-court of records? Well, let's define this first. I want to read this. Nisi, Latin, unless. Anytime you see the word un, what is that? It's a negative. Like the un, the un, that means ungod. It's the negative. It's from below. Just start recognizing it's a negative particle. Nisi, the word is often affixed as a kind of elliptical expression to the words rule, in quotation marks, order, in quotation marks, decree, judgment, or confirmation, to indicate that the adjudication spoken of is one which is to stand as valid and operative unless the party affected by it shall appear and show cause against it. So let's break that down. The Nisi Prius courts shall be in effect until what? Until you stand up and say stop. Nisi Prius courts from the Black's Law Dictionary are such as are held for the trial of issues of fact before a jury and one presiding judge. In America, the phrase familiarly used to denote the forum, whatever may be its statutory name. So if the forum can only be statutory, deal with statutory things, what is it dealing with? The dead. You cannot hear a living man or woman. You can't go in there and say, are you here as man? No. It's asking you if you're here in person. It can't deal with life. It can only deal with the dead things, in which the cause was tried to a jury as distinguished from the appellate court. Let's read forum, and you'll see that forum comes from the Latin word fair. In Rome, a public place where causes were judicially tried and orations delivered to the people, also a marketplace, hence a tribunal, a court, any assembly empowered to hear and decide homicide causes. Also jurisdiction. So the word jurisdiction, juris means of right, of law. Diction means orated. Well, folks, quite simply, did your right and of your law, was it dictated by man or was it dictated by the above? Which one is it? Which is your jurisdiction? Corpus juris civilis. Juris is the right of law. Jurisdiction is the orator, dictio, onus, saying, speaking, talking, orati of the law. Nisi prius courts cannot hear living men or women and are inferior courts of no record. Doesn't matter if you even go in there in the clerk of courts type of way. At all times, the judge can say what? Strike that from the record. Even when they appear to us as a court of record. They can even do absent cases where you're not there and act on your behalf. Fair, from the Latin forum or ferrari, is a place where trade went emporium, the primary sense which is to pass. Stated market in a particular town or city, stated meeting of buyers and sellers for trade. A fair is annual or more frequent. The privilege of holding fairs is granted by the king or supreme power. What are we dealing with here, folks? If that's to denote the forum, and that actually means fair, where the merchants of the earth trade, buy, and sell. What are they buying and selling, by the way? Remember, law and equity were merged. A court of law, Black's Fourth. A court proceeding according to the course of the common law and governed by its rules and principles as contrasted with a court of equity. Nisi prius court. Nisi prius is a Latin term. Black's fifth. Prius means first, and nisi means unless. Unless first. Unless you first what? Deny. Unless the first claim is made. What's more powerful than a claim on your life, on your property? What is your property? What is your substance? What is your value, folks? It's you. It's me. A nisi prius procedure is a procedure to which a party first agrees unless he objects. See how it's right there in the language? A rule of procedure in courts is that if a party fails to object to something, then it means he agrees to it. A nisi procedure is a procedure to which a person has failed to object. A nisi prius court, which will proceed unless the party objects. The agreement to proceed is obtained by the parties first. Nisi prius from Bouvier's Law Dictionary. Where courts bearing this name exist in the United States, they are instituted by statutory provision. Well, that's kind of funny, guys, because, one of the things that I've figured out, that all creatures of statute are creatures of the what? The state. They're corporation. They're dead things. They're not living. I wanted to take the time this week to inform each and every one of you how real the game is. Not every single man and woman out there is at this stage of recognizing and understanding this information. It is vitally important to move forward, but do it with love and kindness. Listen, folks, the Bible's already instituted as the law. By this system operating today. That's why everything that they do, swearing on the Bible, taking oaths, is counter to it. They force you, everything in this system is to force you to break its commandments. And for you to prove that you're not in that law system, that you are not part of that kingdom. That's why everything is done that way. Listen, folks, for those who have the Bible, know Yahushua, and know Yahuwah, let me tell you something. 100% unequivocally, this is biblical. So when are you going to realize it's biblical? That's my question. This may be a simple claim, but all 7 principles that go along with accepting the trust, and just naming some of these, the sound mind, age of majority, establishes the controlling jurisdiction as the written word contracts makes the letter of the law, my friends. You can't be forced, and they can't force you to do something out of it. And it establishes our status within His kingdom. So Psalm 23. Yahuwah is my shepherd, I shall not want. Okay, so it stipulates right off the top, we have a shepherd from where? Above. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. It's not men leading him. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for His name's sake. We have the offering. We have the acceptance. Here's a little meat to the bone. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. Let's read this. At Webster's 1828. A shadow, an imperfect and faint representation. Opposed to what? Substance. Y'all remember the definition for substance? Inexistent, real, value. Remember, folks, when you get this through your head that everything's about property, we walk through. We don't agree, we don't converse or contract with this system of death. Because if we did, what would that be? It's necromancy. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thy rod and thy staff is another commandment, law. I meditate on the law, Father, day and night. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Yahuwah for how long? Forever. Now we're going to focus on the scriptures, the importance of knowing who you are. 5:13 Matthew. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his Savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out, and to be trodden under foot of who? Men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick. And it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 12:33. Either make the tree good and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by its fruit. Alright, so can you walk back and forth in between good and evil and only halfway do it? Or can you just be lukewarm and do it the way you want to do it? So let's see this. The fall of men in Eden was because Eve and Adam did their own will. Everything else after that is men doing it their way. So we have a living testamentary, irrevocable trust, contract, covenant from the Father. And what does Yahushua say? These are my brothers and sisters. Who? What is the stipulation? Who do the will of my what? Father. O generation of vipers, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaketh. What a wicked thing is the tongue when you try to quell the darts that come out of that emotion that first comes. A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, this is important now, this is very important. I focused on this part for a reason, that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. Idle is to be slothful, given to rest and ease, averse to labor or employment, lazy as an idle man, unfruitful, barren, not productive of good, useless, vain, ineffectual as idle rage, remaining unused, unemployed. So that's idle words. It's useless words. You have no idea what you're saying. You just say it. That every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words thou shalt be condemned. We have been given what to say, but we have not the wisdom to apply that knowledge in this wicked world. We have a form of godliness, but deny the power thereof. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came in and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up, brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. That the tares do stand straight up, they don't show humility. That's true. Tares stand straight up, while the wheat during the harvest bows down. That is very true. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? But what is the true allegory of the tare standing straight up? It is standing straight up in defiance. And the very fact that it's in defiance means that it is doing its own what? Will. It's not in submission to the Most High. It's in submission to what? It does what it wants to do. So again, this very thought process that most people believe they understand, they still don't separate the two jurisdictions. They don't see the kingdom of the beast and the kingdom of the Father. He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? Now this is important. But he said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather you together first the who? The tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Listen, folks, there's only two kingdoms. Period. There's only two. Yes, that duality is real. There's a million ways to Sunday to do evil. There's only how many ways to be righteous? Which one's the broad and wide path to destruction, and which one's the narrow path? He that soweth the good seed is the Son, capital S, of man. The field is the world. Of course, we know this. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. Here's your answer. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. Well, be ye holy as I am holy. You've got an option. Which kingdom are you serve? Choose whom this day you will serve. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend. Hold up. So the very first thing he does is gather all things that offend out of his kingdom, and them which do inequity, which is lawlessness. So he's coming to take his kingdom back. And shall cast them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as the sun in the kingdom of their Father. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. Does it in any way sound like lukewarm is an option? Listen, this entire system, the one game, no matter if it's 5G, it doesn't matter if it's the law, it doesn't matter if it's the poisons in your water, the poisons in your food, the poisons at the hospital, poisons at the pharmacy. The one game is to take you out of knowing who you are. If you know who you are, they can't do anything to you. except for his flesh. A devil comes from the Latin devil. In the Christian theology, an evil spirit or being, a fallen angel, expelled from heaven for rebellion against God, the chief of the apostate angels, the implacable enemy and tempter of the human race. In the New Testament, the word is frequently and erroneously used for demon, a very wicked person. In ludicrous language, a great evil. In profane language, it is an expletive expressing wonder, vexation, etc. Number 3, it's an idol, a false god. Which one is the idol, the false god, in which men serve today? A demon, a spirit or immaterial being, holding a middle place between men and the celestial deities of the pagans. The ancients believed there were good and evil demons which had influence over the minds of men, and that these things carried on an intercourse between men and gods, conveying the addresses of men to the gods. Also that human spirits, after their departure from the body, became demons, and that the souls of virtuous men, if highly purified, were exalted from demons into gods. The demons of the New Testament were supposed to be spiritual beings which vexed and tormented men, and in general the word in modern use signifies an evil spirit or genius which influences the conduct or directs the fortunes of mankind. Genius, Latin from the root of gigno, Greek to beget. Among the ancients, a good or evil spirit or demon supposed to preside over a man's destiny in life, that is, to direct his birth and actions and be his guard and guide. What system at birth decided to mark me as chattel, mark me as cattle, give me a number, give me a name, and put me into a system that was designed to keep me in an illusionary world where I walk through the valley of the shadow of death and all I see is dead people? They fail. So time is speeding up. I don't know if people feel it, sense it, or when you have contact, you watch how this system continues to deteriorate quickly. It's not slow-paced anymore. It's happening very quickly. It cannot support itself. When men and women walk around so delusional in their thinking that they think a female can be a male can be a female, and that children can frolic out in the yard as unicorns, the society is done. It's over. There's no, listen folks, what does time only do? Time only goes one way. Which way does it go? Forward. You're not going backwards. So the only thing you can do in this time, where time's going to continue going forward, is change yourself and your immediate situation and your thought processes and start serving today the kingdom of the Father. Matthew 9:35. And Yahushua went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitude, he was moved with compassion for them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Matthew 9:37. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Now this laborer here, it comes from the old French and Latin, and what it meant was those who really put in earnest work. You go define laborer today, it's called what? Unskilled work. So a different laborer. Pray you therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. The very fact that you follow the laws of the beast means you give it what? Authority. The only other alternative is to put the law as your authority. A becoming. It means fit, suitable, congruous, proper, graceful, belonging to the character. We belong to the character of what? The Father and the Testament. Matthew 10:16. Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be you therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. What do you tell you? Where's the councils, folks? Where's the synagogues? The councils is the scribos, the scribes, the lawyers, the judges, the magistrates. That's the councils. And of course, the synagogues is your million different ways to worship. When Yahushua said right out of his mouth, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life. No man cometh to the Father except by me. Now, many people in today's day and age do not get that because religion gets in their way. The fact is, let no man deceive you. This system operates in the mirror world opposite, inverted to the Bible. The whole purpose is to give people power, give the people power back, to actually recognize and grasp and understand what they're reading. For it is not you that speak, but the Spirit of your Father, which speaketh in you. Okay, so where does the Spirit of the Father come from? Where is it at today? Yes, there's a spiritual speaking, there's spiritual synchronicities and things like that. Right now, we're in the councils, we are in their synagogues, we are in front of governors, we are in front of kings, and where does the Spirit of the Father that is in you, where does it speak from? Our written word. word. The spoken word flies away. The written word remains. What does that mean? That just because somebody said it somewhere, it has no basis in reality because it hasn't been what? The beast system expects it to be what? Expressed. Expressed means it has to be written. That means it remains. That means there's continuity of that law. It has to have basis in origin. It's the only way it's given any respect. And you shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be what? Saved. Endureth until what time? The end. Here's the key. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as. Do we know what as means? His master. I and the Father shall dwell where? In the temple with you. There is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. So let me ask this. Since we know that the Bible is a living, irrevocable, testamentary trust set up to operate as the kingdom from above, can a Jew who rejects Christ take part in this trust? Nope. I don't hate the individuals, folks. I hate the doctrines. I can't stand the perverted books. I can't stand anything that teaches anything other than moral absolutism. Anything that teaches moral relativism, secular humanism, doctrine that we come from monkey fish frogs, all that garbage. Hey, look, I've got all day, every day I can spend rebuking every single aspect of those ideas. I hope every single man and woman comes to a knowledge of the truth and decides today to quit being evil. Fear not, I am not blind to the reality in which we face today: poisons, vaccinations, 5G, chemtrails, fluoride, etc., etc. But we are called to rise above these issues. Preach from the rooftops the truth. Stand fast. This comes from the Latin sto, but it signifies also to be, to just exist. That's what stand means. To exist. To be what? Substance. Value. To know who you are. To stand in righteousness and be armed with the sword of truth, the word.